Good morning, Meter Man here, Joe Esposito, and we're working on a little experimental project here. I've built a shield for a smart meter, something like this before. You know, smart meters are probably the most dangerous thing around that the utilities are deploying forcibly into people's homes all across the country. That it's being really damaged by this microwave radiation and the dirty electricity coming off these meters, spy meters that are coming into our homes and recording everything about us. So today, this is just to kind of document the experiment. I'm building a shield that's roughly 4 foot by 8 foot. We're going to stand this up off to the side of a smart meter, trying to protect the house from the microwaves, which, you know, I think been documented in court. These meters are going off 14,000 to 190,000 times a day, and they're coming right through your homes if it's on the side of your house, and even if they're not, they're still coming through. I documented it. I've got about 20 YouTubes up now, and if you look at the Jay, Oklahoma YouTube with Dr. Kendall and his wife Carolyn, you'll see what I'm talking about. I have a horse trailer to put in front of the thing, metal horse trailer, and metal seems to stop it, aluminum screen wire seems to stop it. But the closer you are to the source, the harder it is to stop it. So we're at my high-tech scientific labs here, building this structure. So I'm going to step over here and I'm going to lay it back down. There's two handles on the side. This is the frame. It's 2x6s. The metal is 26 gauge. I think it's pretty much the heaviest building for, you know, like metal buildings you can purchase, because the more mass you have, the easier it is to block those smart meters. And you have to keep this in mind that electricity belonged in wires, and it was relatively safe. I mean, it would still cause problems, but relatively safe. But wireless, all it is raw electricity being blasted at all of us. And depending how close you are to the source, the quicker you're made sick, and how weak your system is, the quicker you are made sick. And usually older people and children go down first. And so there's a whole list. I have a 1971 Navy military document that documents like 2,300 scientific studies, and there's 5 pages of health symptoms. And the reason there's so many health symptoms is because you're being subtly electrocuted, so you're affecting every cell in your body. So I'm going to document the construction. We started on this yesterday, got it built. Now I'm going to lay it down for you so you can see it here, and then we're going to turn this over, and then we're going to fill it with these different materials, and we're going to document that for you. So just hang on a second now. Step around the camera here. Take this bucket out of here. This was set up to help me. It's a little heavy. Okay. So now you can kind of see it's 4 foot by 8 foot. You can, you know, people like to try to put things around or on their smart meters, and really I'm not too sure that's super effective. It may help a little, but there's just too much power coming out of them. Like AEP PSO here in Oklahoma stated in their TRIFO document that their meters are transmitting 400,000 microwatts per meter square. That's a lot. Cell damage is around 3 microwatts. Pregnant women sleeping in bedrooms over 5 microwatts, according to Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt in his Health Crisis of Our Time, Smart Meters and EMRs. It's a 43-minute YouTube that I suggest everybody watch. Obviously 400,000 microwatts is more. I've heard there's a gentleman named William Bathgate that just presented documents before the Michigan House. There's a House bill, I think it's 4220, trying to give opt-outs to their state ratepayers there, as are like several other states. I think there's 16 or more now that allow analog meters, because analog meters were the original mechanical analogs that didn't hurt anybody. Smart meters are nothing but death traps. And there is no safe source of man-made microwave radiation. And remember, Andrew Marino, who's a biophysicist, did it's about a 57-page document for the Pennsylvania Utility Commission there. He's telling you, if you look at your frame, if you look at the radiation before man-made radiation came along on the Earth, and you use that as a reference, a smart meter is 1 billion times more powerful. So these things aren't safe. They never were. You can look at Mr. Bathgate's 44-page document on my channel, and he's telling you all this stuff is really just plastic junk. They're a computer on the side of your house, and we'll go into that later, but this is just the construction to give you kind of an idea. Okay, we turned it over, and so here it is now, laying on its top or whatever on the other side. And you can see these are 2x6s, and now we're going to measure it up, and we're going to put materials in there that are be blocking the microwave radiation. And when we're completed with that project, which will take a little time, we will then put more metal like we did on the top side on the back side. And we probably have to put a piece of material on the top to keep the rain out of the top of it. And we'll take more pictures as we go along and show you what we're doing. Thank you. Okay, we went and bought our materials. We bought 10 sheets of this 1/2-inch aluminum covered Polypro. It's about $10 a sheet, so we got 10 of them. And then our aluminum screen wire is right there. It's 4 foot by 100. It was about $116, I think, with tax. Now what we're going to do is layer. We're going to layer the inside, and first we're going to put a sheet of aluminum with the shiny side hopefully towards the meter, and then we're going to put a layer of aluminum screen wire stapled inside. Then we'll put another layer of the aluminum 1/2-inch and another roll of aluminum screen wire. Now when you're at a distance, aluminum screen wire will just about block it almost 100%, but the closer you are to the source, it's very hard to block this radiation. If I recall, we did an attempt and with a meter that we just were trying to stop it from going towards a bedroom that stuck out the side of the house where the meter was on the house, and we used 2 plates of 1/4-inch plate steel right close to that meter, and it went right through those. And we did some other materials, and that usually got it stopped. And she had a Faraday cage of aluminum screen wire around her bed, and that got her down to 0.1 with normal pulsing from that meter. So this is an attempt to layer this, because if you can layer it, you have a chance of either stopping it or pretty much slowing it down. On my house, on our bed when we first started, it was 700 microwatts per meter squared. And we put the aluminum screen wire on the outside of my house on the south side. It's still there today if you watch the videos. We got it down to 10, and then we bought a $1,000 canopy. You know, it's like hangs from the ceiling, like mosquito netting, Silverel Naturel. And then we got it down to 0.1 inside that canopy. We're still dealing with dirty electricity because, you know, the 2 major things about smart meters is the microwave radiation that they're causing from the 2 transmitters, and then the dirty electricity. And if you look at Mr. Bathgate's article that's up on my channel, he'll show you pictures of that and see how damaging that all is. Plus, it's causing irregularities in your billing. Very poor quality, everything on these smart meters. I should say death meters, death spy meters. Okay, so here we are. We're going to start. I'll put in a layer and then I'll show you that. Okay, thank you. Okay, here we are putting the first sheet of the styrofoam aluminum foil siding. We're going to put them all the same direction. Not that you have to, it just sounds good. And then we're going to put this roll of wire all the way down through there. It's 4 foot wide. We'll staple it to the inside, and we'll do the whole length here of this, so that you can see. So we'll get this done, and when we get it finished, we'll stop. Now let me just share, for some of you skeptics out there, if you don't think aluminum screen wire will block radiation at a distance, you can just see my YouTubes where I use my little Faraday cage. But if that's still not enough, you can come here in Tulsa on Mingo between 51st and 61st, about on 55th Street there, and go west about a block of 3 buildings, and you will find a company that builds Faraday cages for military bases, only he uses copper wire. It's a lot more expensive, and I guess they're stainless steel, but I don't have access to all that right now, so we're using aluminum screen wire. So they're doing it and they're using it. So we're going to put multiple layers instead of using 1/4-inch plate steel, and we'll see how successful we are after we do 10 layers of this process, sandwiching in between. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we got all the styrofoam 10 sheets inside, and we got aluminum screen wire inside between the sheets. The aluminum screen wire is stapled to the top, which is to my left, so they won't slide down. Plus, when we put the styrofoam sheets in, we had some wire on the edges so we compressed it. So I don't know how the wire would ever slip down inside. So now we're getting ready to put the metal sheet cap on the other side. We turned the upside down because the other metal's underneath. And now to my left will be the top. And to finish it off, we'll put a cedar 1x8 cut to put on top so that water won't go down in the metal joints at the top that are sticking out. Okay. That sounds like where we're at right now. Thank you. Okay, now we've got the other metal facing on, as you can tell, and we're working on this end up here as the top. And so now we have to get a cedar 1x10 to cap it. That way there won't be any water wanting to go down inside the metal. Okay, so that'll be the next project, is to get that cedar board. Okay. Joe Esposito, Wausau, Oklahoma. We're back, from our trip. We videoed before what we were building. We tried to build a protective screen or blocker for electrical smart meter, and I showed you what we built. It was made of 26 gauge metal. They put on metal buildings, and there were 2 sheets on each side of 8 foot tall, and we used 2x6s. We used 1/2-inch styrofoam sheets with foil on them. We used 10 of those sheets. We used the aluminum screen wire, metal aluminum screen wire was sandwiched, so there was 9 screens sandwiched in that metal. And then we, put the metal back on, and we put like a 1 by 12 on top cedar so the water wouldn't get inside and damage. Okay. So just to kind of give you an idea, that cost $300 in materials roughly. That was with no labor, no gas included in the travel and all that. But this person, it's just a perfect example. The electric utilities are damaging people's health with this microwave radiation and the dirty electricity caused by the switching mode power supply in the meters. But we were just trying to stop the microwave or radio frequency radiation coming out of those meters. And these meters we have here are 900 megahertz and 2.4 gigahertz, the same as your microwave oven. So we're going to show you a still picture of the finished product. And so this is just a summation to give you an idea of what we did. So the meter, even though we don't show it to you, it was there. And it was 17 feet behind that screen, but it was coming right into this person's house and causing health effects. And then from the screen to the house was another 40 feet. We were reading roughly 1,600 microwatts on between the meter and the screen. And then when we put up the screen, we knocked it down to maybe, 150 or so microwatts. And then when we walked 40 feet towards the house, remember distance is your friend, it was more like sitting inside a sliding, this person had a sliding door. It was like the average of maybe 20, or average of 17, the high 20 microwatts per meter squared. We got there to the house, it was still a little high. It was maybe running 70s, 80s, 90s, 70s. Well, that still is not good. And so we just got some aluminum screen wire. We rolled it out in front of the door along that wall, and we sat there with the meter running, and we got it down to like 20 microwatts then. And so see, that distance wasn't as powerful, and so that screen blocked it. So that was very encouraging. So we're going to go back probably in a week and build a wood frame, 2x4 wood frame, on that side of where the meter is, and put the aluminum screen wire on there. So it won't be stopping the dirty electricity, but stopping the neighbor's meter. This person's meter is very close to hit the house there. So we've done another job like this in another place, and the meter was on the west wall of the house, the bathroom, and then this person's bedroom stuck out maybe 8 or 10 feet. So this person's head was in line with the meter. So for us to stop that meter transmitting and pulsing that person, we had to use 2 plates of 1/4-inch plate steel. So the whole thing you have to understand is the closer you are to the source of the radiation, the harder it is to block it. Because we used 2 plates of 1/4-inch plate steel. We didn't have much metal there, but we used a disc they put on tractors to plow fields. It was 2 foot at the height of that meter. We didn't touch the meter. We were just away from it, maybe a foot or so. And then we put like 12 sheets of this, box stores kind of roofing material, which was real thin. And then we built her a Faraday cage around her bed made of a metal screen wire. And we got it down to where there was no more pulsing. It was 0.1. But that was $1,000. So here you see ratepayers spending all this money. We have ratepayers here in Tulsa spending anywhere over $3,000 to $10,000 to get these meters off of their homes and get it off of their property. I paid $1,100 to get it off my home 8 feet from my bed out here at my house out to the edge of the property. So, and that's one expense. I mean, like I'm wearing a $1,700 suit that I have to wear to protect myself because of all this radiation that the utilities are just saturating everybody's homes with water, gas, and electric. So then you're looking at that cost, but then you have to look at costs like there was this one person in their early 40s that they came in and put a meter on 8 feet from her bed, and then the neighbor had it 15 feet from her bed. So every time she go back to bed, she gets sicker and sicker and sicker. So we had to, this person spent like $8,500 on surgical biopsies on the lymph nodes in this person's neck, and blood tests and antibiotics, and none of that would ever help her. So this person, finally talked to a doctor that knew me, and I helped get this person out of this house because it's so dangerous. So there's all these terrible health problems that they knew back in 1932 was called microwave sickness. And I have the 1971 Navy military document with 2,300 studies, 5 pages of health symptoms, and the government just came out, National Toxicology Program, 12 years, $25 million, showing 900 megahertz, the same as the meters and the cell towers and the cell phones that cause cancer. So there's all these things happening, and they're showing you how dangerous these meters are. So just stop and think, this meter that we just worked on and tried to do some blocking, what if that was on your wall of where your children or your baby is in bed, or you're in bed? If you don't think this is happening, you can get a meter like mine, turn the breaker off, and you can read the meter coming right through your house, because they're made to come through your house to communicate the 2.4 Zigbee gigahertz to communicate with your appliances. And if you don't think this protection works, or we're just kind of blowing smoke here, I was trying to say in an earlier part of the video that you can go down here in Tulsa between 51st and 61st on Mingo to the west. There's a company that builds Faraday cages for military bases to put their equipment in, because they can't take the radiation on the base from all sorts of sources, including the radars on the base. So, the FCC, remember, finally came years ago to a conclusion where they took a military man, 6'2", weighed 220 pounds, made a plastic mold of his head, cut a hole in the top of the plastic mold, stuck a meat probe thermometer in the top, and simulated brain fluid, put a cell phone against it, and said, okay, well, if it doesn't heat this guy's the thermometer over 1 degree in 6 minutes, that's safe. That was no science. It never was science. Okay? And so that's a cooking class. So now the science is caught up. Now it's like Andrew Marino. He did some 57-page document for the Pennsylvania Corporation Commission, and he's telling you if your reference point is man-made, is the natural radiation on this Earth before man-made radiation came along, that when you bring a smart meter in, that's 1 billion times stronger, 1 billion times. So we're just saturating our environment. This is electropollution. We're all being damaged, and we're being subtly electrocuted because electricity belonged in wires. So they're blasting raw electricity at us now. And so that's why you have 5 pages of health symptoms, is because all this radiation, you can't control it. So it's hitting all parts of your body and all different organs, causing a huge problem. And I'd encourage you to look at on the Meter Man website on our channel. And there's a new document put up by William Bathgate. He gave testimony just recently in Michigan. I think it was 2/21. And there's a link to, I think, his video there. And you need to really listen to that. It's just because he's telling you these smart meters aren't meters. They're computers, right? And so you have to look at how computers are built. He goes through this thing. He did this for 40 years. And he goes through here, documents, and shows you the junk these were made out of. And the switching mode power supplies. They're causing so much damage. There was an article that just came out here a few days ago. I think it was the rate, the overcharge, like 582% or something like that. And that wasn't done in the United States, but they're actually a university that studied that. And they're saying that there's so many switching mode power supplies now in all these homes that there is no more clean electricity. And so these meters can't read accurately what's coming through them. Plus, the meters are programmed. It's a computer. So who's programming the computer for the rates that you're being charged? And the other thing, Mr. Bathgate, who was just such a phenomenal, enlightening resource, he's showing you, like, they tested on light bulbs, you know. They didn't test on motors. And they only tested in a controlled environment indoors or something. They didn't test outdoors. So he's showing you, like, say a motor would run at 5 amps, but it has to kick up to 8 or 9 amps. And the meters are reading peaks. So they take those peak averages and they're hitting you with those bills. So it's just an amazing thing. But you really need to look at Bathgate's article, because we are so being assaulted by this radiation. And remember, the whole world's doing it. So what does that tell you? Smart meters are the tip of the spear for world government. This taking place here. And it's a control thing. And then even Mr. Bathgate, in his article, I think it was page 40 or so, said it. Well, he said in the testimony, he turned to the audience, he said if he would have built these meters and gave it to his company to sell, he'd have been fired. And this is the biggest, I forget the term he used, ploy against people, ratepayers, because they're just going to deplete them of their resources. So anyhow, back to what we did today. We just tried to help people maybe get a handle and try to understand how powerful these meters are, how dangerous these meters are on several levels. And you don't want to be in the radiation. You don't want to be in the dirty electricity. And so when you go get burned by the fire, if you get too close to the fire, you get burned, right? So how do you get away? Because that's what electricity, the wireless is. So the only way you can get away from it is stop it. Either stop the meters, get the analog back, which we all should have back, and get away from being burnt. You got to get away from it. That's why I wear the suit. That's why I have to protect myself and stay out of harm's way here if I'm going to survive. Okay? I don't like wearing the suit, but if I'm going to do what I do here to help people, then I have to wear the suit. So, if you have any questions, my number's on the channel. Give me a call. But this was just a little educational tool for people to kind of see what's going on, all right? Okay, thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it.